PA at 5 with the Prince Albertan District Chamber of Commerce. We'd like to welcome all our guests here tonight that are in the room with us, as well as those that are joining us via live stream on our Facebook Live. We're very excited to have our guest with us tonight, Ashley Charles, who's the new PAREDA, Prince Albert Regional Economic Development Authority. Alliance. There we go. It was one of those. And we're happy to have her with us. She's the CEO. I think it's been about 6 months that she's been with us. So, is it 6 months?
11.
11, never mind. Well, you know, time has just been standing still, or has it been flying by? Both of those with what we're facing today. So, we do have a few people in the room with us today, so we're not going to do our formal introductions like we usually do. But we have our chamber CEO, our chamber chair, our chamber first vice chair, and a few chamber members. And of course, we have Donna and Elise. And of course, I said chamber CEO, so that is Elise. So welcome you all tonight. We want to thank our sponsors, WorkSafe Saskatchewan. So we won't go through the protocols for everyone here, but just if you have to get up, we have a few wires around, so be careful of those. And the washrooms are to the left, and there's an exit there and one behind me. So the other group that has helped to organize the PA at 5 is the Prince Albert Young Entrepreneurs, and we thank them for helping get this format off the ground. So we'll get right to it with Ashley. So welcome, Ashley. And we're a little excited about the new PAREDA that's come to fruition. So 11 months in, you're getting close to the year, and we'll talk a little bit about where things are at and how things are going there. But first, we want to learn a little bit about you. So I understand you're originally from Orange, and you grew up there. So tell us a little bit about the lovely community of Orange.
Yeah.
And growing up there.
Yeah, it was. It's pretty nice up in L'Orange. You know, you get to go out to the lake every weekend. Well, I had the opportunity to go out to the lake every weekend. And it's a small town, and then you know the highway to Prince Albert is 2.5 hours, so it was a quick trip to the city on weekends if we wanted to get any supplies or just wanted to come here for entertainment purposes. So just growing up in L'Orange, my whole family's from there. They come from Stanley Mission, Grandmother's Bay, and yeah, L'Orange. So I have quite a big family.
So what kind of things did you like to do in the community of L'Orange? Of course, you mentioned going on the lake.
Yeah.
Anything else?
The lake life was about 110% of my time. Just living off of the lake, just going for boat rides, getting that fresh air, swimming, fishing, you name it. But yeah, our trap line is right off of the lake, so it was easy access. And just looking around, finding other hidden gems in the area. So as I got older, just seeing what was out there, I really liked the sand cliffs and going down there. It was like a lazy river, but in Northern Saskatchewan. So I always tell people to go and check it out because it's a little bit of a thrill. What else can I say about Northern Saskatchewan? It's just a bunch of wilderness, and yeah, it's just a place just to bring me back to earth, and yeah, just to
I'm very interested in the trap line. So they still have trap line?
Yeah. Then we have about 5 cabins out there. Just started to grow more and more and more. People just love going out there every weekend, and just like an escape. Even though L'Orange is small, it's still an escape. Live off the land. Lots of berries and medicine out there. And just spending quality time with family. Lots of boating, and the family is commercial fishermen, so yeah, so they do have that. They're always busy, always hunting, always fishing, and just really living off of the natural resources. Yeah.
Well, that's great. Just slowly learn more and harkening back to the traditions.
Yeah.
So, tell us a little bit about your family. You have a son and a daughter.
Yeah, my son is 12, going on 31. He's turning 13 next month, but no, he's a really sweet kid. He really takes care of me. My daughter is 6 years old. Her name's Katie, and yeah, there's quite an age gap there, but it's really nice to see how my son is molded into that parent. He's just more, what can I say, just mature for his age. Yeah, and so I really enjoy having that little break, but they're extremely different in terms of personality. So it's nice seeing them together because they can like get one another with the way that their personalities are.
Did you tell me you're going to be on Facebook Live?
My son, yeah, my son's like, yeah, I heard about it. Grandma told me. But yeah, Grandma had to tell him. I didn't even tell him. Trayton, yeah, Trayton, yeah.
So you took most of your early schooling in La Ronge, right up to grade 12.
Yeah.
And tell us what you liked about learning in the school situation in La Ronge.
La Ronge schools were awesome. They're so small that you really had to get along with everyone, no matter how different you were. You just learn that along the way. Takes some time for some people, but for the most part, it's so small that everybody supports one another, encourages one another at the end of the day, and you just become really good friends after grade 12, and you go on. And people move to careers and schooling or whatnot, but yeah, a lot of my good friends I haven't spoke to them in a lot of the years, but we still have a lot of those memories where we did grow up as a family because they were so small, so our sports groups were small and they were the same, and so you just spent a lot of time with the same ones over and over, so it was really nice.
Great. And from your schooling in La Ronge, then you went post-secondary?
Yeah.
And tell us a little bit about your post-secondary degree.
So from La Ronge, I moved to Saskatoon and did 1 year of arts and science. It was quite a big change, just moving from the north to the city. And I didn't realize how much my parents did for me, but I really had to grow up fast. And the first year I knew that arts and science was not my passion. But I wanted to do something and I wanted to get out of La Ronge. I was just so hyped just to get out, right? It's like, you're free. And so after the first year, I was like, no, I'm done. And then I moved into a College of Commerce and College of Commerce program, which was the business administration. And I took 2 years of that at which is now the School of Edwards at U of S.
Okay.
Yeah, so I did that and took a break. That's when Trayton came along. So I took a break from life with schooling, and then I just started to work. Then I returned to school later on.
So with the opportunities that exist now with the campus ready with all that, there's something that you would relish to have that opportunity to move closer to this role? Towards the big city.
The big city was a draw for me. Go big or go home. But a majority of it was just because I knew family and friends that were moving to Saskatoon, and so I was able to move in or just have familiar faces around there. Yeah, that was one factor.
So most of this, the new campus here that we consolidated, and essentially this year, for online learning. Do you see that as a benefit to the north and aside from your own?
Aside from my own, well, I think it'll still be challenging. I just feel like even with myself, I just needed that one or that in-person teaching, and so I think it would just be difficult to try and be like, okay, this is set aside for this subject, and then it's just easier going to class, but it's still an opportunity. These opportunities weren't available definitely back in the day, so it's really exciting to see, the university popping up in Prince Albert here, offering things that weren't offered otherwise. Dentistry is a big one, and that's an amazing opportunity, and I really hope that a lot of people do participate in that. But for the most part, it was.
So after you attended UMS and then you went to U of R, was that part of the online as well, or was that?
No, that was all in class. Yeah, all in class. It was a joint program. Yeah, and it was for Aboriginal students. Yeah, so College of Commerce, U of S, and U of R combined and offered what the College of Commerce could offer was their basic package, I guess, and then U of R offered the cultural sensitivity part. Yeah, so it was a nice mix.
And then you, when you spoke before this event, you talked about the Northern Career Quest.
Yeah.
Tell us how that impacted.
That was my first job, was Northern Career Quest, and I was the education and training manager there. And it was a perfect opportunity. My son was just 6 months old, but I knew it was an opportunity that I had to take. And I was just really attracted to that position when it became available. And I learned a lot from that position itself. I would travel all over Northern Saskatchewan in the basin, and there was just so much relationship building in Northern Saskatchewan, Eastern Saskatchewan, Western Saskatchewan. Like, there was just so much relationship building and working with communities that I can't thank that job enough. But I also just recognize the importance of education, and just a number of the jobs that I've had, it just all kind of combines to where I'm at today, which is economic development. And so I recognize how important it is, but I also recognize there's a lot of work and there's a lot of challenges that are faced. Yeah.
And from that Northern Career Quest, it took you to Kitsaki, which gave you again more experience. So tell us a little bit about the experience you gained with Kitsaki.
Yeah, when I moved over to Kitsaki, it was kind of the dream job that I always wanted, was to work for my band in an economic development capacity at some level. And so when I moved there, I started off as ore haul truck supervisor, which is kind of crazy because I've never dealt with ore haul trucks. And so it was totally new, but I learned real quick how to supervise them. So it was just mostly scheduling, dealing with paychecks, just safety, services, just a bunch of numerous things required for that position. And so once I was working with Golden Band, they recognized that I still had that HR uniqueness to me. So they're like, okay, well, we'll just use you for a little bit of, in case we need some more employees. And so that unfortunately did fold. The gold industry wasn't, or the company at the time just wasn't successful. And so we moved over to a new business, which is Kitsaki Projects at the time, which is now Kitsaki Vegetation. And there is where I spent a lot of years doing human resource management. Pretty much what I went to school for. I was pretty confident I was going to be an HR manager for the rest of my life. And so all in all, I've been counting the years, and it's been 10 years, and I knew it wasn't going to end there. HR was just, that's not my life. I know it's important, but I did recognize, there's more that I wanted. So.
And just to clarify for everyone, so Golden Band Resources was a division of Kitsaki Management at that time?
It was Kitsaki Procon, and Kitsaki Procon was a subcontractor to Golden Band Resources. Yeah.
And of course, Kitsaki's a division of the Black-Laurent Ginny Band.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's.
Yeah, it was pretty exciting working with Kitsaki. They're really proactive with Aboriginal business all across Canada. They have a heavy footprint in Saskatchewan, so just being able to work with the numerous companies, and there's an umbrella of companies under Kitsaki management, such as NRT, First Nations Insurance, Athabasca Catering, Can North. There's quite a number of businesses, but Kitsaki Vegetation was the one where I kind of just planted my seed and then grew from there. So, yeah.
So from there, you ended up with your business admin degree, and tell us about how you attained your MBA.
Yeah, like I said, I knew HR was not going to be a lifetime career for me. I knew that probably 8 years into the field, and so I knew that I had to plan what I was going to do, and I always loved business. I can still remember the day I was very young, and it's just stuck with me. And it was a business that was in the family, and I was out there, and I was just a little girl, and they took me for a ride. One of my family members, they took me for a ride, and I was so young, but I remember them saying, "Grab a bag of chips" inside the store. And so I was so excited because I was like, ooh, the manager, the boss, right? I get a bag of chips. Yay, I'm spoiled. And then at the same time, they were closing down the business. And so I didn't know what that meant at the time. And I've just always since that point, always been curious of the business cycle. What is there to business? And then it just got deeper and deeper, relationship building, personalities, HR. And then I was like, okay, I got that component from Kitsaki. So what more to business is there? And then community economic development was kind of the bigger picture of everything. I was like, that's like a perfect fit for what I like, because I like the marketing and I like the relationship building. And I just love community economic development. And so I seen this program. A friend actually introduced it to me, and so I applied, and I wasn't too sure if I was going to get it, just because I didn't. Well, you just never know, right? I just always doubt myself, honestly, when it comes to schooling, anyways. And so when I was approved, I was really excited, and the most important thing was that support from my parents. If it wasn't for them, I would have never been able to complete that, because they looked after my son when I went to school and when I had assignments. And you got to remember, like, I still had my full-time job with Kitsaki, and I was doing homework at night. So there was just, I just knew that I needed to get it done. But I also had a little hiccup, so I did have to take a break from my MBA. I lost a child during the time, and so I needed that break. So be it, just to go through the cycle of grief and everything like that. So I learned a lot in there, but it was definitely something that I had to do alone. But I think I'm stronger. I understand, and yeah, it just makes me want more out of life. So as heartbreaking as it was, I'm still living life and trying to do the best that I can. And so I did go back and completed my MBA. Some of it was offered in Warman, so I traveled from La Ronge to Warman every second weekend and take my courses there. And the last 4 classes, I flew over to Nova Scotia to complete. And I just stayed there for a whole month. Again, I needed my parents because they watched over my son. So, they've been so supportive, but they knew I was determined and I was strong-willed that this is what I want and I'm going to get it. And so they've been nothing but supportive of me. So, yeah.
Great, that's awesome. And so now we're going to talk about PAREDA. So it's been a process locally that has taken a while to get it organized and off the ground, and we're excited to hear that it is now. So maybe tell us a little bit about the process in the last 11 months, and let's start with maybe introducing or telling us about some of the people that are serving with you on the board of PAREDA.
All right, where do I start? 11 months ago. It does seem like it was a long time ago, but it wasn't. It's just been a very busy year, but with COVID, it's definitely put a damper in relationship building. But I've still been meeting people one-on-one, doing what I can, usually with computer, talking on the camera. It's just not the same, but we'll get there, right? PAREDA, yeah, there was a slow start to it, but we're here now. My board consists of the mayor of Prince Albert, Matt Vermette, he's the board chair, and April Poitras Roberts, she's the vice chair. Dan Youngerth, so he's with Miller Contracting. Gord Broda, he's with Broda. And we have the town of Shellbrook mayor, which is new now. George Tomporowski left. He retired, but he was. Everyone's a strong advocate for PAREDA. We also have the Reeve, Don Burke, and he's back in. RM of Prince Albert. So for that one, Richard Wilson.
Oh,
yeah, extension. Yeah. And we have Mel Marasta with Peter Ballantyne Development Corporation. And we have Austin Bear with Muscadet First Nation. So we have Lynn Jansen as well from the U of S Nursing, and Sharon Hopkins, yeah, who's with Polytech. Yeah. So I hope I did not forget anybody, but there's 12.
You did very well with that. And to know where to go. How often do you meet as a board, or is it quarterly?
It is quarterly, but with PAREDA, just in the infancy stages, we had to meet more often. And we do have subcommittees, so kind of the pillars that fall under PAREDA. There's strategy and performance, there's tourism, there's business development, and there's also business retention and growth. So there's pretty much 4 main pillars of PAREDA. And from there, we have the 4 subcommittees, which numerous board members sit on. And so they kind of steer discussions and make recommendations to the regular board meeting. But Yeah, there's a lot of meetings, but with the board, yeah, we've been meeting more often. Mainly, we wanted to have a plan, strategic plan for the next 3 years, and COVID hit, and so we couldn't get together and do what we wanted to do. So we eventually got there, but we just did a 1-year work plan. Here are our expectations and get it done. So there is quite a list of key performance indicators that I have to complete. But for the most part, yeah, there's been just a lot of communication because COVID has put a damper, especially with like even the retention of small businesses. It's just such a different landscape out there for that, and it's like, well, how can we help? And is PAREDA established enough? There's just so many uncertainties, and it just, okay, we'll just ride with it and just go with it. And that's what we've pretty much been doing, but we still have, it's given us a lot of time also to plan for what next.
Well, we've heard a little bit about some of the work you've helped with in the forestry sector. Can you tell us a little bit about that part of PAREDA, what you can share?
What I can share? Yeah, there's been lots of hype around the media announcement about the forestry manufacturer coming to Prince Albert. Prince Albert needs an industry. It's been needed for like the past 10 years. And so, that just helps create jobs and income. But all I can say is, we're really excited. It's time to get excited. There's going to be an announcement coming out really quick, pretty soon. And you'll start to hear more from that announcement come to fruition. So
I know the elections that we've had recently have kind of,
yeah.
Through those, maybe we can get some things put forward now, so that will help. And definitely, I personally deal with Sakau with some of their marketing, Sakau SK, the Forest Management Group. And there's always something going on in forestry that, oftentimes, unless you're driving down the highway and seeing the trucks loaded with logs, you don't realize it. So there's still been lots going on with forestry in our province. So,
yeah, it's just that we don't really hear about it, right? There's just so much that's happening out there, and we don't realize how important and vital Prince Albert and region is to the economy. We still have that skilled labor force from 10 years ago. Those skills just don't go away. And so it's a perfect opportunity for any forestry industry. But yeah, a big intent of PAREDA is to make those things more aware to the region. Yeah, that one's like, there's just so much that's happening. But we need something, right? And it's been just far too long since we had much of an industry come into even Northern Saskatchewan, with uranium down, with the pulp mill down. Yeah, people are hurting, but there's hope, and so we just need those jobs and that income, and we'll have a healthy, thriving community.
And then, of course, with our northern lakes and the way we're situated in the province here, tourism. Can you talk a little bit about the tourism sector of PAREDA?
Yeah. Tourism was handed over to PAREDA just recently. It was official back in the end of June. And so there's just tourism just fits under economic development because it just promotes the region. but there's just so much that we can get from it, mostly business, but also just showcasing what hidden gems we have around the region, and then just working together, because some areas just don't have the capacity, whether it be monetary. So we're hoping, with PAREDA, because we're just coming together, working as one unit, it'll just be stronger together collectively, to help promote these regions that people just aren't aware of. So it's new, it's exciting. Again, there's going to be a strategic planning session on that, and we recognize, yeah, we can't keep holding off just because of COVID, but we do have to plan for when that time does happen, when the markets do open, that we're prepared.
Yeah. And it's a vast expanse. I know the tourism area to the north, and the resorts, the outfitters would be part of that. Situation we're facing. So, and can you talk to us about any other new ventures on the horizon, or even just the sectors that they may be in?
There's been quite a bit of people that have been coming forward to PAREDA, and we just recognize, there's a need for an investment attraction package, really, for these companies that are looking to invest in the region. And so us recognizing that, I've been working on proposals, trying to get some funds just to help me with investment attraction package, just to help with the bigger countries looking into invest in PA. And so that's going to take a little bit of time, but the work has been done, but we recognize the need. So far, we've kind of been just taking on these businesses just one-on-one, and just assessing them, numerous presentations, and going with them one by one. But we just want to have more of a formality, for when people are interested in investing. So what land availability there is, we'll have a bunch of statistics. So eventually we'll have a website as well for PAREDA, and that will showcase and highlight some key performance indicators like participation rate, unemployment rate, how much people are spending in retail. I just have a bunch of graphs that are just developed specifically for data, just to help people decide or work, play, and live in PA. Those are the highlighting themes of the website.
It sounds very exciting. So I'm going to lighten it up here a little bit. So, what does Ashley like to do when she's not looking after her children? And I know from talking to you, it sounds like your family is pretty near and dear to your core. So what other things is Ashley involved in?
Honestly, I spend all my free time back at home in the cabin. Yeah, usually on the lake. It's my oasis. I just love being out there, and plus I don't get Celsius, so it's nice.
That's something they have to work on. So I know that the government's supposed to be working on connectivity.
Some of us don't want connectivity.
I work connected all day, and I'm only happy to go home and disconnect for a while. So I'm going to break with tradition and stay with tradition, I guess. And we usually ask a few of the local guests here if they have any questions that I may have missed of you, Ashley. So if anybody's got one, just put up your hand and let me know, and I'll ask it of Ashley on your behalf. Bill.
Okay, it's sort of like the camel in the middle of the room, not an elephant. But I know quite often regional economic development talks about new business and bringing new employers, new industry to town. I'm always interested in knowing what the view is in terms of supporting existing business and expanding the current opportunities. Because I think we have a solid, stable core, but I think people are always looking for opportunities to go to the next level. And one of the things that the Chamber has been particularly interested in is the downtown business core and the business tax structure. So I'm wondering if PAREDA has decided to take a look at this and make a stand on the business tax structure and look at our existing industries and how we can expand and support them through a period of growth and expansion.
I think you heard that well. I did.
Very loud and clear.
Thanks, Bill.
Yeah, it's a good question. I think just with PAREDA, you know, like I said, we're just so brand new. A lot of this stuff is already in place. It's already established. It's just like fine tuning it. How can we make it better? How can we improve it? What set of data sources do we have that we can relate to? What is it like in different areas? And then try and make the best situation for in terms of the taxes. So it's just assessing what we have and then improving it. How are we going to help existing businesses? It really does boil down to going out and meeting them one-on-one and hearing what they have to say. And it will be done. I promise you that will be done, is meeting with those people, because, you know, a lot of them, they don't want to answer surveys. A lot of them are just too busy, or emails get lost in the shuffle. And so it's just easier just to go down and to actually see what issues they're faced with, what challenges they have, and also just feedback. Like, maybe the rent is super awesome in the downtown core. So you look at the pros and the cons and you just assess them, compile them, see what is a common theme for downtown, and try and just trickle away at one, and, you know, just make sure that you're communicating that this is what's being done. Just to showcase that, yeah, it's not falling on deaf ears. You know, you're actually following through with some of your action items. So,
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's good. Anything else? Hussein?
My first question will be twofold, literally. One, if you're trying to attract investor, and every investor asking first question, what's your tax holiday program or scheme? Because they're not interested on having service plan for free. They're really invest on that. But the long term use of tax is the biggest issue, especially if you're talking about manufacturing and employing more than 50 people at the time. So this one question I have: what do you have any tax holiday schemes established to attract investor? Second is, there's a lot. I could say, speak from my point of view. There's a lot of people who want to grow, as Bill put it forward, but in manufacturing, is there any way that PAREDA can help find investors, cash investors, to be able to support these manufacturing facilities with the local businesses set up in Prince Albert?
So the first part of that question is, you know, tax incentives or tax, yeah.
Yeah. Like the tax incentives, there's they do have something at the city hall, but you got to remember, like, when we're talking about PAREDA, it's a regional approach, and so I still have to assess what they're doing in Shelbrook, what they're doing in Butland, what they're doing in RM of Prince Albert, and kind of combine them and see, you know, what can we offer in terms of tax incentives as a region. We're not always going to have a it's not always going to be a healthy distribution of, you know, you get a chunk of this, you get a chunk of that. But we have to be fair, but we also have to recognize, you know, there's so many differences with the tax incentives. Bigger manufacturers, if it creates 50 jobs, Yeah, there's nothing set in stone. So it's definitely case by case right now because I haven't worked with my board yet to create that investment attraction package where we kind of have that protocol as to this is what you do if this business comes to you, et cetera, et cetera. So right now it is case by case, and it's just dependent upon that individual business that's looking to do business in Prince Albert, just case by case.
To reply that, isn't it there's a certain areas within Canada, certain towns, regions have done already established and they are successful. Can we appear as a Prince Albert Northern region? Can we copy similar?
Yeah, there's similar projects that have been done out there, and there's actually quite a bit. There's actually quite a bit of people that have done the same thing that PAREDA is doing, and that's working with First Nations and other municipalities all across Canada. And so there's no point in reinventing the wheel, right? So it is, we'll see what happens. Like, it's just like a case study to me. If there's something that works in this town and in this city, kind of bring them together and just make it work, make it happen, just do it, right? And so that's just a matter of research and seeing what was out there. But yeah, there's quite a bit of First Nations, municipalities, and cities that are working together all across Canada. And I've been reading from pretty much Canada, and they have quite a bit of examples of where it worked, what didn't work, of working with those different levels of government. So it's pretty interesting, but it does take a strong board, supportive board, to help us get there. Yeah.
So, are there any areas that you personally would like to see new ventures? What would be a passion for you to pursue?
There's two big ones already happening, right? So I'm super excited about the forestry industry and also the tourism. I just find like Prince Albert is just located in kind of just the dab center of the province where there's two different worlds. The northern part of Prince Albert is just wilderness, but it's beautiful, but rich in resources. And then the south is mostly agriculture. But they're two completely different worlds. And, you know, just moving from Orange, I thought I knew quite a bit. But moving to the south, you know, I just didn't recognize the capacity of how much we provide, you know, for as a province in terms of exporting. And forestry is a big one. And just watching it and researching it as well. There's a lot there. So those two are really big. They're quite exciting. Tourism, we can always just improve on promoting the region and making it more just apparent, just more awareness. More people will be staycationing, I'm suspecting, next year that don't know about these hidden gems all over the region. So we want to make sure that we bring that to light. There's a number of things that are happening, such as the website that's going to be coming within the next month, hopefully. I'm still in website development phase here. There's quite a bit there, but that should be coming within the next month, and then just prepare us for 2021, how we're going to promote PA tourism for the next year.
Good. Well, thank you for being our guest, Ashley, and inviting us to one more question. One more. Two more.
Sure. Tourism seems to be something that's very underrated. Most U.S. states, the number one or number two income in the states are tourism. We don't come anywhere near that type of level of economics. And Prince Albert, you know, the tourism board is gone. We used to get really good return on our investment. You know, paradise for the tourism, they're gone. I drive by there every day because it's like, I see all the people stopping there, it's closed. And I see the comments on the websites and stuff, chamber sites, they're complaining about the chamber, it's not the chamber, it's a tourism, it's closed. What's the future there? It's an amazing spot. We have some amazing stuff in this thing, and it's not being done. I know COVID makes things a little weird, but there doesn't seem to be any thought or forward pattern there right now at all.
So to summarize, if I can, George, what's happening with the tourism center and tourism as a region in the area? What are the plans for that?
Yeah, tourism, there was, we had to decide if we were going to open or close back in May. And like I had mentioned, you know, PAREDA didn't officially get tourism until the end of June. But because of COVID, it did damper, you know, protocol as to staying open. But mostly the strategic planning, it was revolved around what are we going to do? How are we going to get this tourism back up and running, really? But there was so much different approaches that we were going to take as well that just ultimately was shut down due to COVID. So we made that decision. Yeah, we didn't anticipate much people traveling into the province of Saskatchewan going through that tourism location. Yeah, there was people that went through ultimately, right? So yeah, so what happened was, yeah, it was closed, but the things that they were looking for, and I got calls because my number was out there, right? And ultimately it was just resorting them to the website because it was still up and running, and the map. They wanted the map. Yeah, they wanted RV stations as well. And so I was able just to navigate with each caller what they wanted. But ultimately, that was the whole rationale behind closing the tourism center, was because it was being transferred over to PAREDA, so a different change of management there, and with COVID, so double whammy. Now preparing for the future. Yeah, there is a future. It's just not out there, right? So there's platforms that I have to work within my capacity, which is just like pretty much the Facebook, posting onto my LinkedIn, and communicating that way until I have my website. And then with my website, it's going to include PAREDA and then have a sub of tourism PA. And so it just gave me and my board a lot of time to plan for what's next with tourism. And I think it's just best to be foundationally solid moving forward rather than just, what are we doing? Yeah, so there are plans. Yeah, there's plans. Yeah, there's plans for the opening up in 2021, is if that's what you want to know. Yeah.
So then tourism will become a division of PAREDA.
And destination marketing money, city consultants, the taxes on hotel rooms. Planning on getting that to use.
There's been no discussion about that. We'll have
Is there a room in that city has destination marketing on tax on it? Which usually with tourism in the city comes back and has been spent.
You'll have to look into that.
Yeah, we'll have to look into
If
it.
you didn't know about it, you could find out about it.
I know about it. I just don't speak to it because I'm not managing that destination marketing fund.
Bill, you have any other question?
Sure, I'm trying to grow into my role as first vice chair for the chamber, and I appreciate Tracy's leadership and vision for collaboration. And if anything, I can contribute to today's discussion is we have wonderful opportunities, and PA is known for collaboration and for stakeholder relationships and working together. So it's certainly something that I'm very interested in seeing a strong relationship with PAREDA and the chamber and the city
And I represent the interest of community-based organizations because I think we all together collectively have a vision of economic and social prosperity. Now, that has nothing to do with my question. Your story is inspiring, it's grounded, it's very human, it's very, very insightful. I have a daughter who started off as a single parent, became a single parent, was pursued post-secondary education. So I'm thinking there's got to be dozens of young women out there who look at your achievement and think that is awesome. So do you have any words of wisdom or encouragement or support to offer our up and coming young citizens, our entrepreneurs, our leaders, of the women in the community who are taking on more and more of these roles? So
That's a new one for me. You know, the tables have turned because I've always looked up to people, right? And so, yeah, it has been challenging, but just to have that support system. I didn't always have support financially in terms of going to school, so I took the onus of going into debt, but you know, that was just for schooling, and it was intentional. I needed it. So words of encouragement for uprising women. Just find your passion. Everyone has a passion for something. Just keep experiencing the good, the bad. Take each one as a learning experience. Don't get too comfortable, because there's always going to be, you're always chasing the future, and it's always so all over the place, right? You just never know. It's just like COVID. You just don't know what's going to happen the next day or the next few months. So find that passion and just educate yourself, experience as much as you can, and yeah, live life. Yeah.
Great. Well, you've certainly given us some enlightenment again about PAREDA and enlightenment about yourself. And yes, I can see you as an inspiration through your life story, and you're young yet, and you've got more story to tell. So we wish you well in your endeavors to carry on with that. So. The next event for the Chamber is an online webinar coming up on the 18th, and that's with SaskPower. And get a hold of the Chamber via email or good old-fashioned telephone and sign up for that webinar. And I'd just like to thank you for joining us via Facebook Live this evening, and for those of you who joined us in person, the few that we were able to have during our guidelines that we have to follow these days. So thank you all for joining with us.